Hey, how's it going, people? I am Indy Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War, and today I'll be using a Wood Elf skirmish build against the Greenskins Rush Army, led by Theocles Total War. So, you've seen builds like this from me before. I really love the Deepwood Scouts. I feel like they're a great skirmish force. Maybe a little bit expensive at 700 gold, but they give you a lot for that price. They have Vanguard deployment, they can ambush your opponent, they can fire while moving. They have Parthian shot, so while they're running away from an enemy rush army, they can fire. And that's a pretty big deal because units like Glade Guard, for instance, can't do that, so you lose out on a lot of DPS when you're trying to kite because obviously your bows aren't firing. And of course, they synergize extremely well with the Glady and the Prey of Anathrema with her minus 22% missile resistance when you plop that net on an enemy cav unit or something that's trying to chase you down. You can completely negate their charge bonus or just completely prevent them from moving, then focus fire them with your archers, and that will obviously do quite a bit of damage to pretty much any unit in the game. I also have a unit of WAAAGH to give me a little bit more extra firepower in the skirmish fight, and of course they have a lot of armor piercing. Against the Greenskins, the build that I'm fighting up against today, not going to be incredibly useful to have all that AP, which you'll see why in a second, but still gives me a lot of firepower. And of course, Eternal Guard rather, with shields as my main infantry line, and a unit of Wildwood Rangers, giving me some armor piercing and bonus versus large, and same thing with the Azrai War Dancers. Gives me a lot of extra mobility and can slaughter enemy cavalry in only a couple of seconds here. So on the flanks, Wild Riders, one of my favorite cav units in the game, just so much mobility. Frenzy makes them very powerful in sustained melee. They are a bit squishy, but they're just so fast and so much fun to use, and I love their animation. So with pretty much any skirmish build that I bring with the Wood Elves, you will see Wild Riders, just because they're great in a cav fight and great at slaughtering enemy skirmishers and getting rear charges off by flanking around. So across the way, Theocles has a Savage Orc, very themey build. Front line of Savage Orcs, and the second line are the Savage Orc Big Guns. So the Big Guns have kind of come to the forefront in the Greenskins meta as the mainline infantry mainstay for the Greenskins in a lot of situations. They have a bonus versus large, but more importantly, they have that 30% physical resistance, that ward save. So that is a pretty big deal for Greenskins. Yeah, they have zero armor, but it makes them a lot more tanky, and the zero armor kind of belies their tankiness because of that 30% missile or physical resistance rather. So that'll help you against skirmish fire. That will help you against anything you close in the melee with. It's a pretty big deal. So he also has some Squigs, and this is something you'll see a lot more often when it's against the dwarves or high armor factions, because these Squigs will give you armor piercing, and that Squigs go wild buff when they're in melee, and so you'll see them in tandem with the Greenskin main line, kind of operating in between and in and amongst the Savage Orc main line. So they don't usually work by themselves. They won't like go around and flank that often because they have pretty crap morale. So when they're isolated, they will rout, but they do give you some extra mobility. That 58 speed is pretty nice. It means they'll be able to run down archers very easily, and obviously they look completely ridiculous. Look at those gaping maws on them. They're horrifying to watch. So yeah, and it looks like he's got a Night Goblin War Boss as his, on a Cave Squig, as his general, and he does have an Orc Shaman with the Foot of Gork, Fists of Gork, and AoE Go as well. On the flank, operating by itself, does have a Regiment of Renown for the Wolf Rider Archers, and they have 92 speed, so they will definitely be a threat to my skirmish force once I decide to play my card and show them. Of course, he doesn't see that my Deepwood Scouts are on the field at the moment. They are hidden, but as soon as they start firing, he will notice what's going on. And as soon as those first arrows take flight, the gig will be up. He'll know that I have a skirmish build, and he'll kick his ass into high gear, get moving, and try to close me down in melee. It's going to be a tale of two armies in this one. Greenskins, very melee-centric, very focused on rushing, and my army, of course, very focused on shooting as much as elvenly possible, shooting as much of my ammo as I possibly can before the Greenskins are able to close into melee. I don't want a melee fight anytime soon. I will get completely rolled if I don't get to shoot the majority of my ammunition here. So you can see even these Savage Orcs with 30% physical resistance, the zero armor and zero shield block chance really hurts them. And they're taking a ridiculous amount of damage from these first volleys. They're dropping like flies at the moment. Arrows completely filling the sky here. And now you can see the real benefit of these Deepwood Scouts right now is that I will be able to continue firing as I run away and continue kiting backwards. Now, one of the problems in Total War Warhammer, one thing that I really don't like in terms of game mechanics, is that you lose a lot of fatigue when you shoot, and units like Wood Elves really shouldn't be getting so tired when they're running and firing at the same time. Like, you'll see a Glade Lord will get tired in like 5 or 6 volleys of her shots, which is not very good, and it really hurts your melee prowess and capability. So not the biggest deal for the Deepwood Scouts, except for the fact that it will make them much slower. So kiting like this, there's a limit to how much you can do it, right? If you continuously do this for a very long time and you're firing all your ammo while on the run, you will end up probably being caught by something like Savage Orcs, because your Deepwood Scouts will get tired much faster. But at the moment, definitely doing a ridiculous amount of damage to these guys. These front ranks are getting scythed down, and these Wolf Riders, Wolf Archers on the flank, will get prey of Anithramid, and here come the Wild Riders. I needed these guys off the field because they have 92 speed. They're such a threat to my archers, and downhill charge into the Wolf Riders. Beautiful. Slaughtering them on the charge there, and then following up the charge from my Glade Lord. Yeah, the Squigs are going to be able to get a rear charge off, but there won't be too much damage there. They're going to be really easy to kill when they're isolated like that. So getting that mobility off the field for the Greenskins, incredibly important. If I can get all their Squigs and all their Cav off the field, things will become much easier for me. Still running away. That is a Foot of Gork here. Coming, just materializing out of the sky, and that did a lot of damage. That did about half HP on my Deepwood Scouts, and more than that, it's actually going to knock them down and maybe allow these Savage Orc Big Guns to close into melee. The Wild Riders did see an opportunity to kill some more Squigs over on this side of the battlefield. They charged in, managed to kill off one Squig herd, did about half HP to the other. Took a lot of damage, so I'll pull out of that fight and continue kiting. So this kind of build isn't the easiest thing in the world to micromanage, but the benefit here is, of course, that I have fire at will on, and I can just continue running away, and my men will continue firing. So Glade Lord and the Wild Riders. The Wild Riders up to 50 kills at the moment. Managed to kill off everything on the right flank. And now I feel like I've done enough damage and that the Theocles is spread out enough that I can close into melee and maybe manage to win this fight here. So you can see the Eternal Guard took a ton of damage from these Savage Orc Big Guns, who have a pretty big charge bonus of 33. But they'd already taken so much damage from the skirmish fight that I might be able to commit and win on melee grind here. The AP will not help against the Savage Orc Big Guns because they have no armor. But I don't really need to win the fight so much as I need to just tie stuff down while my archers continue firing in. The Eternal Guard aren't supposed to win by themselves. And now you can see the focus fire onto Rusty Airs, getting the skirmishers off the field as well. It's brutal, man. Look at that. The focus fire is doing so much work on those Rusty Airs. And now my Water Riders going into melee as well. Charging into some Squigs. Managing to take them off the field. But gotta be careful because those Savage Orc Big Guns have bonus versus large and some nice AP as well. So if I don't pull out of the fight pretty soon here, could lose my Wild Riders. And we have a very spread out fight going on. No real reason to commit in the center here. Continue kiting and running away. Deepwood Scouts getting some really nice shots in on these Savage Orc Big Guns who have 75 kills. Yeah, they slaughtered my Eternal Guard. But he doesn't have a great way of closing them down. Oh, he's getting a little bit close here. But yeah, they're going to drop. And they will rout. Wild Riders see an opportunity now to get around the flank. So we're going to follow them. And watch as they charge headlong into these Rusty Airs. And those Night Goblin Archers will stand no chance in close quarters combat with our Stags. They will go flying. And I've eliminated the mobility and the skirmish ability of the Greenskins. They do still have some melee units left, and they do still have their Orc Shaman and their Goblin War Boss. And it is very common with the Greenskins in general. You'll see them rout, but they'll come back to the fight. So I've still... Balance War is in my favor a little bit here, but all these units could stand to come back, and if that happens, and look at my ammo. If I run out of ammo here, these units become essentially useless. Once they're out of their shots. So anything that comes back could close into melee and finish me off in melee, and then I'll have to commit my archers, and I am looking a little bit thin here. So this is definitely not over, but I have managed to shut down a lot of these big guns, and look at that, 32 Greenskins left in the unit. They will rout from the field, looks like. I think they might shatter if they go past that red line there. Things are looking pretty good though. Orc Shaman has been pretty effectively neutralized in this one, though, I will say. One great way to neutralize the effectiveness of an enemy mage, especially one like the lore of the WAAGH, which the Greenskins focus on, of course, is that Here We Go and all those buffs, like Fists of Gork, are very AoE focused. They really want to buff up the entire main line. So if you can spread the field like I did in this battle, kind of spread it out, skirmish a lot, and not really give them that melee fight that they want, it really limits the effectiveness of their magic as well. And so the Orc Shaman wasn't really able to get any big AoE buffs off to help out his main line, just cut through me much easier, and that's helped me out a lot. Again, this battle is not over though. We do have the Night Goblin Warboss chasing down some of my Wild Riders, and all these units, you can see they're wavering in the background, will be coming back to the fight. So until I'm able to kill the Orc Shaman and this Warboss, things will still be up in the air. And my archers, there's going to be a big shift in the balance bar as soon as they run out of ammunition because they're just nowhere near as effective. But the Goblin Warboss will be able to close into melee, kill off some of my Wild Riders, and I do see an opportunity here to get a nice charge into the front of these Rusty Heirs and finally get them off the field. Nice shot decapitating a couple of them from the flank. Nice charge from the Wild Riders here, and that should shatter them. So Prey of Anathema on these Savage Orcs to do that minus 22% missile resistance, and then with the rest of my ammunition, Waywatchers and a couple of Deepwood Scouts firing in, we'll be able to drop a few of their models. You can see I don't have a lot of ammunition left. So Glade Lord is chasing after the Orc Shaman now. He's only got 950 HP left, and I'm just trying to clear up everything. But you can see my Wild Riders are starting to die now. They're going to rout and shatter. And with that, I've lost a lot of my mobility as well. It's good my Glade Lord's still at mostly full HP, and she still has her potion. So that could be a pretty important component of this battle as we get into the late stages of this game. You see some more Savage Orcs are coming back from the rocks over here. But I noticed the Orc Shaman and that Foot of Gork. So one thing that will happen in late game is often you'll get your units to just blob up around the board and try to kill them. But a Foot of Gork could completely punish me there, and that could be devastating. So I'm going to make sure this Orc Shaman can't come back, and that means the Glade Lord will chase him down and continue pushing him around. I got a little bit annoyed here though, because he's got 314 HP left, and I continuously tried to attack him, and I just can't kill him. My Glade Lord misses her attacks about 5 or 6 times in a row, but finally able to decapitate him from behind, and with the Orc Shaman dead, things are starting to look very bleak for Theocles. But we are going to get one last melee fight here. Eternal Guard moving up, ready to engage. Took a beating in that melee fight. It was brutal. Happened real quick, too. That's one thing you'll notice about Savage Orc fights in general. Even with that physical resistance, of course, they're not a very tanky unit. So, as soon as melee fights, one side is going to die very, very soon. As soon as melee starts, rather. One side is going to die very, very quickly. In this case, both of us died pretty fast, but managed to get the better of him with the skirmish fighting. So I'm going to pop Prey of Anathema on the Night Goblin Warboss and prevent his charge bonus, and then charge in with the Glade Lord. Here come the Wildwood Rangers into the Savage Orcs, and some nice attacks off as our Spear War Dancers into the flank. Crimson spewing into the air. That should be pretty much the end of the game. Not a whole lot left for the Greenskins to hold the line here. Goblin Warboss was an interesting choice. I would have rather seen WAAAGH or something, to be honest, just for the Savage Orc real themey build there, but it was a fun battle. So it was all about the kiting, all about the mobility there. You see my Deepwood Scouts put in a ton of work here. 92 kills, 76, 76, and 62. And my Waywatchers was 65. Did manage to shoot all of my ammunition on every single one of my archers, I do believe. And when you're able to shoot that much, even against a pretty high mobility faction like the Greenskins and their Savage Orcs and their Squigs, you're going to do a lot of damage even against their physical resistance. So spread the field, make sure the Orc Shaman and their magic can't be utilized to their fullest potential. Here We Go and Fists of Gork in particular are AoE buff spells, so if you can prevent the Orcs from kind of blobbing up, getting multiple units inside the AoE of that spell, it means they won't be getting a huge buff on the main line, and you can kind of abuse that. Wild Rider swooping in from the back, managed to kill off his skirmishers and got rid of the Squigs early on. I think Theocles should have kept those Squigs closer to the Savage big guns, and that would have allowed him to use them in tandem more with each other, and prevent them from just routing. Because like I said, Squig Herd, terrible morale. They will rout very quickly if they're isolated and by themselves. That's why you'll see players use them more in line and combined with the main line. So Blade Lord managed to do quite a bit of damage. Of course, Prey of Anthrema, again, so effective when you're trying to kite and skirmish with any faction that's able to use something similar to it. So Net of Amantok, of course, the other counterpart to that spell, and probably didn't need the shields, to be honest. I don't know if that was... they had some skirmishers, and there's no way to know whether the Greenskins will be going for a skirmish build or not, or have some skirmish units. So overall, I think that this is a pretty decent build if you want to try kiting. It can definitely work even against factions like the Greenskins, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's one of the things I enjoy most in Total War Warhammer are these Wood Elf kiting builds. Just avoiding the melee fight for as long as possible, kite, shoot while you're running away, and then once you see that the enemy army is kind of spread out, you can isolate it, pick it apart, and chop it up into little itty-bitty pieces. So if you guys enjoyed this game, I'll bring you some more content very soon. Indie Pride, signing out for now.